My mom was in her mid-20s, around 1979, a few years before she married my dad. At the time, she was sharing an apartment with her friend on a quiet but slightly run-down street in Jackson, Mississippi. Her roommate, was a musician and was out of town for the weekend. She had told my mom she wouldn't be back until Monday, so my mom knew she'd be alone for a few days. On Sunday night, my mom went to bed, feeling a bit uneasy since she was alone in the apartment. As she started to drift off, she suddenly heard some noise in the front room, like something rattling. Then moments later, she heard the front door creak open. At first, she thought her roommate had come back early, but as seconds passed, she noticed the light hadn't been turned on, and there was no friendly response from her roommate. Instead, she heard quiet shuffling and things being moved around. That quote S when it hit her. She wasn't safe, and someone else was in the apartment. There was only one room between my mom and the person, and she knew he was getting closer. Behind her, near the kitchen, there was a back door, but it was always locked, and she didn't have a key to unlock it. She felt trapped with no easy way out. So being a religious person, she started to pray, hoping for guidance. As she prayed, her mind became clearer, and she felt a sense of calm wash over her. Instead of panicking, she realized the safest thing to do was to stay perfectly still and quiet, hoping the intruder wouldn't notice her. My mom thought that after the man took the money from the purse, he would leave her. As she kept praying, she buried her face into the pillow, trying to stay calm, but fear made her whole body tremble. She opened one eye just a little and saw a dark figure stepping into the doorway. He was very tall, even taller than her fiancé, who was 6 feet 4 inches tall. This man seemed huge as he stood there, his shadow stretching across the room. As he moved closer to her, my mom stayed frozen, thinking the only way to stay safe was to keep quiet and pretend she was asleep. He stopped at the foot of her bed, towering over her, and slowly tilted his head from side to side, like he was trying to get a better look at her face. Her voice cracked with fear, and then she let out the loudest scream she could manage, hoping someone would hear her. When she stopped screaming, my mom realized the huge man had walked back out through the front room and left through the front door, closing it behind him. Shaking, she quickly locked the door and turned on the lights, finally understanding that this was not a dream. Later, she called the police and reported what happened. It turned out the man who broke in had taken less than few bucks from her purse. The police asked my mom to identify the man using small pictures that showed only faces, since she hadn't seen his face clearly because they all looked very similar. After a lot of thinking, she finally picked one of the pictures. The detective helping her was someone she recognized. He had been a teaching assistant at the University of Southern Mississippi, where my mom had taken classes. The detective looked a bit disappointed at the picture she chose. He said, "I wish you had picked this man instead," pointing to another photo. He is 6 feet 6 inches tall and was just released from prison last week, and he lives 2 streets away. My mom wondered how she could have identified him when he was not shown to her in a lineup, just in a small picture. After that, nothing more came from the police report about the incident. The following week, my mom read a news story about a similar incident that occurred just a few blocks away. To feel safer, she decided to stay with another friend for a few weeks, packing her things and leaving the apartment behind. Even though her roommate had returned, my mom felt uneasy and on edge, unable to relax in their home for a long time. The thought of what happened kept haunting her, making it hard to sleep or feel at peace.